Hey, what is up guys? Skiddy Fishing here, and today I am freezing my butt off at Utah's most popular tailwater. In fact, it's so popular you can probably hear the cars behind the camera. Now, a word that I do not use a lot on my channel is the word Keiryu, but if you do watch the channel, you probably know I'm really into tenkara fishing. So Keiryu is very similar in the sense that it is a fixed line rod, but it's different in how it's fished. Now, I'm not here to get into the nitty-gritty of the origins and the heritage of Keiryu fishing, but I will say that it does roughly translate from the Japanese language to small mountain stream. And I believe that's exactly what a tenkara rod is perfect for. You know, a 10 to 12 foot rod, small mountain stream, rod, line, fly. I'm not really like exclusive to Kabari, but you know, that's more or less kind of what it's all about. Now, Keiryu is kind of when people start to say that tenkara is kind of like Euro nymphing or a cane pole. That's when I start to say, okay, well, I think we're kind of getting into that Keiryu category, because a lot of the old-timer Keiryu rods were probably meant for like bait fishing, tailwaters, more meticulous rigs, and better or more specific presentations. So anyway, I have a rod here today from Keiryu Rod Co, and it's called the TN Provo. So once again, Utah's most popular tailwater, I figured it was time to fish the Provo rod at the Provo River. So again, when I say Euro nymphing, you know, when you want to start throwing like double nymph rigs, split shots, indicators, things like that, like if you want to get kind of fancy with your rig, I believe a Keiryu rod is exactly for that. It's got a bigger backbone, and it's got a specific type of tip flex to it for the types of fish that you are catching in tailwaters, which do tend to be bigger, for the record. Now, I am going to try to hold off my thoughts until the very end, and I will be honest with you, the Provo River is far from my favorite river. I am a creek guy, and I do try to fish the Provo at least once or twice in the wintertime, because the pressure is lower. In fact, I had this entire stretch to myself, where in the summertime, you would have seen probably 5 or 6 fly fishermen and a few float tubers going down. So again, you know, it's just not my favorite water to fish, but I understand why it's so popular. Also, Provo does have 2 major sections of tailwater, and I understand that there's a middle section as well. But right now it is also 10 degrees, and I do not want to go into higher elevation to make it colder on myself for just a few fish. So anyway, what I'm saying is that I don't expect a lot of catches today. 3 would be ideal, but you know, I'll take what I can get. I'm going to do a lot of casting, and then I will kind of share my thoughts near the end. But I will say that one of the first things that I noticed right off the bat is that it does have a very small handle with a long running blank. And make no mistake, I do believe that this rod was intended to be casted two-handed. So anyway, I'll share my final thoughts on that at the very end. And with that being said, let's see what we can catch. So I've kept the indicator on for the most part, and I think I'm the most content with that. I just don't know if this water is deep enough for like peak Euro nymphing. The middle Provo would probably be better, that more popular tailwater. But you'll notice I really kind of like holding it up here on the upper blank. You kind of cast with 2, and then I just kind of tuck in the handle against my arm, and that has felt really good. Sometimes I can cast it one-handed, you know, lift the line up the water. And again, I'm just tucking the actual handle itself into my arm, my forearm. It is a little bit breezy on this evening. So if I have to, I'll throw a heavier fly on, but the Provo River being as popular as it is, big flies are not generally my first recommendation. The casting feels pretty darn good though. Like, I wouldn't say it's obnoxious by any means. Just add the right amount of weight to it, so your line has some castability. I mean, you'll see that I'm comfortable holding it with one hand sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't hold it with one hand all day, you know, and then when I feel like it's necessary, then I swap the 2. I like to cast with 2 and sometimes just hold it with 1. That was kind of a poor cast. we go. That was better. Oh, that was a fish. It was a big fish too. I wasn't prepared for that. Gotcha. There we go. There we go. Do you think it's the same one? Yes. Yes, guys, yes. I made a big adjustment on my indicator, and the very next cast I caught one. Yes. Oh, heck yes. And I think the cloud coverage kind of you know, kicking back in. Looks like it might have a little sprinkle of a storm. All right, guys. Heck yes. Okay. My hands are wet. There are no brown trout spawning. It is January, and we got ourselves a nice trout, dude. 21 to I'll ballpark 33. So anyway, there he goes. Adjustments, you know. I had a feeling this streamer could work, but I just couldn't figure out how, because at the same exact spot I hooked one there, did a few more casts, put on the indicator, and then hooked another one, lost it. I was like, maybe it's the 6X tippet. Started fishing again, and then I realized my indicator was like way down my line, and so I was like, I better adjust that. The very next cast I hooked one. So heck yeah, guys, that's the first fish on the TN Provo that actually felt pretty dang good. I cannot complain. I will admit I was low-key very nervous about the 6X tippet. I mean, really, at that point it was my fault for choosing it to begin with, but I basically just advised that this rod can't support it. But boys, that proved me wrong so far. Oh, that was a fish. Yep. Come on. Yeah, dude, that's a big one. It's a big one. Come on, 6X. Work for me here. Oh yeah. Backbone of TN Provo is working right now, guys. Come on. Come on. It's a beautiful brown. Beautiful brown. Yes. Oh, guys. Yes. Oh, that grind was worth it. Look at that fish. Oh, man. All right, guys. So, got the TN Provo here. Just caught him off to the right on the rocks. And we got ourselves a very nice brown trout. Biggest one I've caught in a while, if I'm being honest. So anyway, put my hands away here. Look at those red halos. I mean, such a dark trout. How cool is that? But dang, guys, beautiful. Let's get him back in, and he's gone. Yes, that is when it gets fun, guys. That is the perfect fish for the TN Provo. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to conclude this video. Obviously, it would have been nice to catch more fish, but I talked to a couple other anglers and all of them caught nothing as well. It's very cold, by the way. It's like not even 20 degrees, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. So, hooked 2, lost 2, lost a fly with 1, and I landed 2 as well. So I've had worse days on the Provo. But essentially I just kind of wanted to talk about really this rod and my first impressions on it. So, it's really not as heavy as I kind of thought it was going to be initially. And I think I can attribute that mostly to, it's got this really small base handle here. And, although the rod does prefer to be casted two-handed, it doesn't have another EVA or a cork handle up here like some other spey rods, and I think that really contributes to shedding the weight or mitigating that weight in general. So I can see kind of why it's really just so kind of bare down here, and I think I prefer that actually. Now, I did do a video with the T100 at a lake, and I did notice that the T100 does have a texture difference up here, and I find that to be more inviting for your second hand. It would actually be really cool if the TN Provo could update that in the future and kind of have that texture difference, because I really, really liked that. Aside from that, though, it really wasn't that heavy. I mean, again, it is a two-handed rod, so I do find that it's preferable to put a hand here, and kind of cast overhanded like that. If you're going to cast it one-handed, which I did a lot today as well, I almost kind of liked holding it up here where your second hand would go, and then resting it on your forearm to reduce casting fatigue. I did do a handful of this quite a bit, and you know, after 10 to 15 casts, it's pretty heavy. So I think really it's actually pretty fun. Like, I have a good time with this. I think really some learning curves to get used to is if you're standing in the river and you want to change a fly out, you want to add some split shots, you want to maybe change your indicator or indicator length. It is very, very tip heavy, specifically when you need to make an adjustment. Other than that, when I'm casting, I don't really notice the tip weight to it or anything. I think really the thing I love the most about this rod, although it is a fast action, it's got a slow tip to it. It's very, very responsive. In fact, I was fishing 6X tippet all day today, and I will only attribute that lost fly to a bad knot, because the knot didn't go all the way to the eyelet. It was about a half an inch above the eyelet, and I just got lazy and rolled with it, and obviously I regret that. However, when I retied it and I was a little bit more meticulous with it, got it up to the eyelet, yeah, definitely wrangled out some fish today with some 6X tippet, and I was very, very impressed. So that soft tip flex really just responds. It's like slow, but it responds at the right way, especially when the backbone kicks in. So again, I think you can catch small fish and big fish with this rod, and it's kind of equal to each other, keeping it kind of fun and stuff. Overall, guys, I'm actually very, very impressed with this rod. I actually think I like it a little bit more than the T100 just based on my two scenarios. However, I was hoping to catch enough fish to pull out the T100, and that didn't quite happen. So I think I'm going to come back in the spring and really give it a whack at the next tailwater, the middle section of it. and see if I can catch some fish with that rod. But aside from that, guys, really overall, it's a pretty well-built rod, and I think it's really cool that I was able to fish a rod named the Provo on the Provo River. Again, I as far as casting and stuff or line setup, I was using Keiryu Rod Co. Zero Nymph line. I did obviously the 6X tippet off of that. I tried contact nymphing at first. This water's very, very low, and so I don't think that was the right style. So eventually I put an indicator on, adjusted the length, and then ultimately I started catching fish, or hooking into them at least at that point. So but yeah, I think really the last thing that's worth noting is this actually has a really cool carrying case for it. It's like it's kind of like the perfect combination of a sock and a rod tube simultaneously. So this doesn't come with the rod sock because of that, and I actually kind of am learning to hate the Tenkara rod tubes these days. They're becoming unfavorable. They're taking too much space. It's just tedious for how simple it is, I guess. But I like the zipper on the top of it, and I like how it's kind of like a standard Western fly rod case, but appropriate for the rod this size. So I guess the last thing worth noting, and actually the T100 has this as well, is they actually do a glue joint Lillian at the top. And although I don't have a strong preference on that, I do know that a lot of Tenkara and fixed line enthusiasts actually prefer that. And I think that that is generally considered a higher quality when it comes to glue joints versus swivel tips. So, but aside from that, guys, I had a blast today. Let me know if you have any questions or if I didn't answer any of them below, and I will be happy to respond on it. And we'll definitely get more days on the Provo. They're few and far between, but I'd like to get a redemption day here in the future, and we're going to work on that. So we'll see you guys on the next adventure. Tight lines, everyone.